What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Monero today. XMR, baby. That was not sign language. Technically, the other two were, but Josh St. Clair, this one's for you. You made a request. I have not been ignoring your request, man. I do want to make videos on the on this one and the other coin that you were asking about, LCC. I'm pretty sure it's not a typo. I will do, there is an LCC coin, and I will do a video on that. I don't know if you meant to say LTC, but just let me know. But Josh St. Clair, this one's for you. I do requests. If anybody has a request, just leave it in the comments. I'll do it. The reason it's taken me so long to get to this is I really haven't had time, man. And I wanted to do a video of this one yesterday, but I know that since this is my first video, it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have taken my time with it. I would have been rushed, and I want to give this thing, being my first video, I want to actually give it an in-depth analysis. So here we go. Without too much further ado, let's actually get into it. I want to have, let's see, where are we on the long term? Maybe we don't have enough data. Let me see. Do we not have enough data? We don't have enough data. All right. So in that case, I'm going to get rid of the long-term RSI. I've gone through and I've looked, and Kraken does have some of the longest historical data, and it's a pretty popular exchange. So I'm going to use this chart just to start things off. Let's see here. So right now, looking at the monthly, we've got this kind of base area up here, right? This was a technical higher high, but also at the same time a technical double top. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, right? That could imply that we see lower lows than this. I'm not expecting that. I would expect that we actually maintain some kind of ascending structure where, our low might be down here. I don't know. Let's see. See if anything makes sense. That could have been it right there. Maybe we turn up from here. I don't think so. I would bet that we do come lower. I would wonder, maybe something like that. Maybe it's even as low as that, but I would expect that this low holds. But again, a double top has potential to take out this low here. What you're setting up for ultimately would be a potential M pattern, but I don't think that's in the mix. Really, I do think we're in the middle of an ascending pattern where we have our base up here. It's a nice flat base, and then we're going to have some kind of ascending structure up. But we'll get into that. Maybe as we go through it, I'll change my mind on that. This is just a first look at it. Anyways, from the all-time low to, we could do the all-time high, but I'm going to actually use this first high personally, because I think this was a fake out move, and I think that's exactly what it was. We saw a bearish engulfing, or I guess it's not bearish engulfing, but we did see a rejection off this. I'm going to use the first all-time high here, not the current all-time high. So, or maybe, I don't know, let's see if it looks better. Okay, all right, fair. I guess this one does look better. It does respect, but there's not a whole lot of information here, but I feel like it does respect the 0.069. The 0.069 is not a fib level. If anybody's wondered that and they've seen that, it's actually not a Fibonacci ratio at all. It's just a number of serendipity and continuity, and I use it, and I do find significance on it. That's why I have the 0.069 and the 0.69 itself. It's not just funny. I put it on there at the very first time that I ever did it because I thought it was funny, but then I found significance on it time and time again. What gave me the inspiration behind it, or the thought behind it, was I saw enough moves just in my years of experience doing this, where we would break through the 618, we would hold it as resistance or support or whatever, we'd close at it, but we'd always wick like slightly below, and I thought it was the 0.7, and I was like, 0.7 is close enough to 0.69, so why not, just for funsies? And I tried the 0.069. I've time and time again found significance on both of these lines. So just to be clear, the whole point of that tangent was to address that those are not fib levels. In fact, every number on here is a fib except for the 69s and the 0.5. Everything else is a direct ratio in relationship to the Fibonacci sequence. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to explain it here. You can look it up online if you want to. You don't need to know. You don't need to know what I'm talking about. You just need to understand the relationship that the price has with these numbers, and it's like you don't need to know how to build a car, how everything works in a car. You can still know how to drive and operate it safely, right? You just need to know gas and brakes and steering. Use your blinkers, right? Windshield wipers if it gets, but you don't need to know everything about it. You can learn everything about it if you want to. That's what Google's for. And I've actually made a video explaining how I go about using the fib, but maybe not from a fundamental aspect, maybe more of just like an actual, like a hands-on aspect. But anyways, without getting too much further into that, let's continue the analysis on XMR. So from here, from bottom to top, looks like we rejected the 0.69. The obvious area that I would think that we would go to at least, would be the 0.236. And truthfully, the fact that we bounced off this 382 before, we might not go that low again. You know, we could go below the 236. Definitely, we could wick below it, but ultimately hold it on a monthly basis. You know, if we see a month where we are below this line, but it hasn't closed yet, it might be a great time to buy. This is all just, again, my first look at it. But from here, a drop to the 236 is definitely significant. I know it doesn't look like it, but a 44.8% drop, that's significant. We would take out this low fairly close to the 236, and this is where I think we might wick lower. We might have some kind of dramatic flash crash that could be anywhere of the likes from the current price, 60% to 70%, something like that. I very much doubt that we come back down to the 382, but it is possible. It is possible. And it's not condemning, but it wouldn't be ideal, because I bet just from the look of this alone, if we came back to the 382, I would expect us to go lower inevitably. But right now, I'm hopeful that we will find support on the 236 ultimately, or somewhere even just below it. It doesn't have to be specifically on it. That just looks nice. I like it when it looks nice. You know, we even before the anchor point was set, we found support on it here twice. We found resistance on it here. I like seeing significance before the anchor drops. This isn't conventional, but I've just, through my experience personally, I've seen time and time again where if you find significance on a fib beforehand, you tend to have a good fib here. So I do think automatically right now I'm bearish on Monero, at least for like a 40+% drop. We did reject the 50 on the RSI here. We've had lower highs, lower lows. I think that we're getting set up right now for our next lower low. But ultimately, I don't believe that this is going to be the all-time high. It could be at 517. That could be the all-time high. But I do think inevitably it'll take it out. Monero's an OG coin, man. And I have a theory. If you've been on this channel, you know that I've probably hinted at this theory here and there. But I think that this next, maybe I haven't hinted at it enough. But I think the next cycle, right? We had in the 2018 cycle, or the bear cycle, the 2017 top, we had the shitcoin craze, man. It was an altcoin season that you've never seen. People say it's altcoin season. You don't know, man. If you weren't here in 2017, 2018, you do not know what an altcoin season is. That was crazy. You could have shot in the dark, man. Picked a coin and you would have 10x, 30x on any shitcoin out there. Like literally, it was crazy. And then we had DeFi summer, and then Chainlink and exchange coins like Binance, those things went up. And we had DeFi summer after that. And then we also had the meme coin rally with Dogecoin and Shiba, and everyone's like, what's the next thing going to be? What's the next thing going to be? I think my theory is that the next thing is going to be a throwback. It's going to be, how like fads recycle themselves. Like what was once cool and is no longer cool, it becomes cool again. I think we are going to see an OG coin rally in the next cycle. And that's mainly, there's a few reasons for that, call it intuition, but I also think that because we're going to see institutional money come in, they're only going to mess with coins that have actually stood the test of time. There's all these new coins that came out, Solana, Avalanche, just to name a few, that have done that have had great ideas. EOS, what's the other one? The Elrond, whatever. They sound great. They have a great community. Everybody's behind it, but they have faults and they do not work properly, and people quickly give up on them whenever they shit out. And there's going to be those diehard fans that bought the top and they're just going to ride it all the way down no matter what. But I think the institutional money wants to see, crypto is a new thing. They want to see, I think they would feel safer in something that's been around longer than most of the coins out here. And this thing being around since 2014, probably even longer than that, this is an OG coin, man. It's stood the test of time. It's held these levels. It hasn't given much back. Monero itself, if we go on CoinGecko here, we look at it. Let's go find it. It's been in the top 100 for a long time. I'm sure, it's 25th right now. $2 billion market cap. It's maintained a market cap over $1 billion for quite a long time. Being in the top 25 or being in the top 100 is an achievement in itself in crypto. Maintaining that status is an achievement, and then as you get more selective with it, being in the top 50, being in the top 30, being in the top 10. This is why, my last video, maybe not my last video, but my video about XRP, this is one of the really impressive things about XRP and BNB is that they have been in the top 10 basically, since they got there. They haven't left. And any coin can get in the top 10. Any coin can get in the top 20. Any coin can get in the top 100. It's staying there for years, for cycles. That's significant. And I think that's why we're going to see an OG coin rally in the next. That's going to be the next thing. It's not that, people are going to be looking for meme coins. They're going to be like, oh, it's, just like before. No, it's not going to be just like before. That'd be too easy. It's going to be the thing that nobody's expecting, which I think everybody right now is looking for the next new thing. The thing that nobody's expecting is the old thing that has proven itself, that has stood the test of time, which actually matters, man. Because a lot of these cryptos, they can have the best intentions ever, but if they have a fault, hackers will find it. There's a lot of scam artists out there, man, and they're itching for these new coins that have not been tested properly, that don't have high market caps or high mining pools, or like a bunch of security. Maybe they have faults. They're looking for stuff like that has a lot of interest. Everybody's hyped up around it, and then it gets some glitches, or it gets shut down, or whatever. Monero, however, again, it has stood the test of time. What I like about Monero, if you don't know anything about it, it's a privacy coin. So I've heard people say that you can trace Monero transactions. I don't know if that's true personally. I really don't. To my knowledge, Monero is a privacy coin. That means that when you sell or send Monero, whenever you do transactions with it, it is it's not transparent, not like Bitcoin, not like Dogecoin, not like most cryptocurrencies. It's actually I guess whatever the opposite of transparent is. It's opaque. You can't see the transactions, and that's the point of the privacy coin. And that, I think, in crypto, it's still peer-to-peer. You can send it to anybody, but having that privacy, I think it is valuable. There's a lot of people out there who value privacy, and I think this thing being an OG private coin, I think that it has a lot of potential in it. I definitely think it does. Without talking too much more about it, let's actually kind of narrow this down or hone this in on a fib perspective here. From the last low to the last, again, I want to point this out actually. Rejecting the 50 here on the monthly is not a good look. I would expect that we go lower for sure on the RSI, and that would imply lower prices, of course, too. I don't know if we go overbought or oversold on this because it is the monthly, and that would take a lot, but it could happen. Maybe we bottom at the 618 here. We held the 0.5. We got a significant move off it. It tried to get above the 382. It did a little fake out, but really I think this 382 held its resistance, so automatically I would expect, look at it, right? You came down, you held the 382 as support, came back up, held the you went a little bit below the 382, held the 236 as resistance, held the 0.5 as support, held the 382 as resistance. The next thing to do would be go to the 618, which would from here be a, let's see, that's about a 45% move too. So that kind of lines up with whatever I was saying about the 236 on the big fib from the all-time high or all-time low to all-time high. Let's see here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of iterations, or it is one of the OG coins, but there's not a whole lot to go off of. From this top to this top, we had 40 bars in between them. From this top to this top, that was 40 bars. That's kind of cool. I like seeing that symmetry, right? That could imply that, right, maybe the next top that we see is in 40 bars, 42 bars, 41 bars. That would be November of next year, October, September of next year. So there's, we're still over a year out. I know it looks close, right? We're already more than halfway there from, previous to only 2 iterations. So it really could be longer. It could be shorter. This isn't a definite thing. This is just more of an idea, right? It's not a prophecy. It's an idea. But we're over halfway there, but still, it looks like we're close, but this is over a year out still to reach 40 or 41 bars or longer. So, and that would be when we would see the next top. That doesn't mean that that's whenever we break through the high, right? We broke through the high here, I guess. Where did we break through it? Right here. and that took 33 bars. Technically, we broke through this high on on this one 41 bars. So maybe it does take us longer. I don't know. I don't know when we'll break the high at. Honestly, right now I do expect lower. That's kind of my general impression. I wonder, from high to low here, it took 5 bars. From high to low here, it took 12 bars. Ultimately, really 27 bars. Maybe we see one that takes longer than 27 bars, and we continue this trend of extending the lows. I don't know, but let's zoom in on this. Let's get into more hard evidence here. On the weekly time frame, we are below the 50. This RSI looks weak, man. You can see it, right? From this whole time, basically since we've topped, right? The RSI has predominantly been below the 50. You can see it's mostly below the 50. That's not a good thing. That definitely means the bears are in control. Here we are above the 50 still. We haven't gotten in to the oversold zone, which is very encouraging, but we also haven't gotten into the overbought zone. And again, the bias is below the 50. So I would think that we inevitably do, whenever we bottom, we will get into the oversold zone. I think that'll be a signal on the weekly that whenever we're in the oversold zone, that could be a bottoming point. I do not think that as soon as we get oversold that it's going to be the bottom. I think it'll take time. We'll know whenever we get there. But just looking at the RSI, again, I would be bearish, definitely bearish. Looking at I guess I could bring the long-term RSI back now. Let's go on the indicators here. Moving average. Yeah. No, not moving average. I'm sorry. RSI. Indicators, relative strength index. Here we are. And we're going to get rid of the base. I don't like the bands. The Bollinger Bands. I like the bands, but not the Bollinger Bands. Background fill. Bollinger Bands, background fill, I don't need that. Overbought gradient, I don't need that. It looks kind of cool, but I don't need it. The style of the line, let's make it red, just for funsies. And the input, we'll do 123. 123, okay. And then I'll move this up so that it's oriented how I normally have it. So, let's see. On the long-term RSI, you have been battling this 50. You've been flirting with it, maintaining levels above it, which is good. But you are kind of testing it right now, potentially as resistance. If this week closes around here or lower, even just around here, this wouldn't look good. Ultimately, you're rejecting the 50 on the weekly, and you're rejecting this 50 on the weekly again. This would imply that you're going to see a more immediate move to the downside, and that just makes sense to me. I think that's what you're going to see. Being below the purple line here, the purple line is starting to bend over. It is genuinely starting to bend down, and you are just barely above the 50, but that could change. That could definitely change. There's almost 3 days left in this week. That could definitely change. And if you have price below the purple line, the 123 RSI is below the 50, and the purple line itself is sloped downwards, that to me confirms that you are in a downtrend. And again, this isn't something that I use to identify a downtrend before it happens. I identify it long after it happens, right? This downtrend started over here. But I think the chart makes it undisputable that it's a downtrend, like basically right around now. And that doesn't mean that we have to go lower. Sometimes you'll see all three of these things met, and there will be other signs in the chart that say that we're going higher. But the fact that we had this higher high structure and this higher low structure, and we just broke it, we have a lower low now. It wouldn't surprise me if, maybe we go up from here, have a slightly or a lower high, because we do have lower lows. Maybe we confirm that and have a lower high. But ultimately, I do think we're going to go down. I think we're going to roll over. Let's zoom in a little bit more and go to the daily. Potential rejection off the 123. You are below the line. You're below the 50 here, testing the overbought zone and potentially rejecting it. You haven't been in the overbought zone for a long time. Again, most of this RSI has been below the 50. Any bullish moves you've had have not been that significant. You've given them back immediately. It doesn't look strong. I think just from the look of this alone, I do think actually you want to go lower. This might be the lower high I was talking about. You might actually not go higher than this. I wonder how many days. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. Sometimes you see 7 or 9 days. If you know anything about the TD sequential things come in like odd numbers. Basically 7s and 9s are very popular, but it doesn't have to be those. You know, it could turn around on 8 days. This could be a sign that maybe there's one more day of green in it, you know. But genuinely, I do think that this thing wants to go lower. Ultimately, this is just another lower high, and we have lower lows. So at the moment, I'm definitely bearish on it. Let's see. You had some, not any bullish divergence, but you held levels that were significant to hold if you wanted to see a bounce. So that, you know, that's probably where this came from. I wonder on a fib scale from this top to this low here, bounced right off the 886, man. A lot of crypto is messing with this 886, and I would say same thing as Pepe. Generally, whenever you break the 618 on a first pass, generally that makes me bullish to the extensions. And maybe we do. Maybe we go up there. But with the way that this thing looks, the decreasing in volume, you know, let's actually go for this one. Let's go to the Binance chart and see what we got. Yeah, decreasing volume, nothing significant, right? I would very much be inclined to believe that even though we broke through the 618 with ease, I think this is one of those unconventional times where we do we do reject from here. And rejecting off the 886 is actually very powerful. Whenever you have a deep retracement and you reject off of that implies very powerful moves to follow if you don't hold support on the 618 especially. So that would be my line to watch. You know, let's see what Monero does with this. If you can hold this line of support, maybe you do go higher. Maybe you do see these extensions. I do not believe that. I do believe that you're going to see somewhat of a dramatic crash down every time that you've pumped. You know, you've kind of just like given it right back in the days to come. And then systematically over time working your way down. Maybe we move sideways with lower highs and lower lows from here, and then like after a week or two or a month or so, we have our more dramatic moves down. But I am bearish. I feel like the whole video that I've been talking about this is bearish on Monero. Where I would look for it to bottom again is probably, I'm not saying it's going to bottom again, I'm just saying again where I would expect it to bottom. Is this, maybe I want to go back, let's see, maybe this is it. From this low, I think that's the same low to high. Yeah, the 618 here, that should be about a 44% drop from the current price. Let's just see. So I got all my ducks in a row. Yeah, I would expect that we see a bottom somewhere around here, and actually just below that. I would expect that we see it below that. At the moment, I would expect on a monthly basis that we close around this or above it, just like we did here on the 0.5. You know, we wicked below it, but we closed and we held it as support. I would expect something like that. Maybe the total move is actually down to the 0.69 and we drop 57%. Maybe we drop even lower, you know. And dropping lower does not condemn it to these extensions, though it could, but I don't think that. You know, it doesn't have to hold the 618, though that's at the current moment. You know, seeing the respect on the 886, it could go all the way down to the 886. Long story short, I do think, regardless if it's a 50% or a 75% drop from here, I do think that we are going to have a higher low, and I would look for the low being anywhere from around about $80 to at the lowest $35. That's a very big range, but you know, that's just kind of how it is in crypto sometimes. So I don't think it's go time for Monero yet. I do like Monero. I do think it has a bright future. With the current market cap that it has, again, let's go look at it. It's got a $2.7 billion market cap. Could Monero 10x from here? Could it see prices that are literally above $1,000? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely could. It definitely could. $2 billion, a 10x would put it at $207 billion. Or 270, I'm sorry, my math was wrong, $270 billion. That's a high market cap, but that's doable in crypto. That's definitely doable. And for an OG coin, an OG private coin, that's kind of, right, private coins are in itself, it's like a niche aspect of crypto, and Monero is like the Bitcoin of privacy coins. Like, it literally is. At least in my knowledge, Monero is the Bitcoin of privacy coins. It's the Mac Daddy OG. I could see this thing definitely hitting a multiple $100 billion market cap at some point, and that would put it well above $1,000 for sure. I could see that happening. If we were to see an extension, you know, based from the top here and go, let's say around 80, right? That's where that 618 was, right around 80 there. Whatever, close enough. You know, the extensions here from the 1272s at 800, the 1618 would be above 1600. I could see something like that taking place. If it goes lower than that, then these extensions only grow higher. So a lower low than $80 is not a bad thing, guys. And what we could do, if we want to kind of guesstimate the low, we could see if we can match any of these fibs right now with the current price action. And this right here, man, you're bouncing off the 382, you're holding the 618 as resistance, 786, you're seeing some kind of significance here. It would be a higher low. I wonder from bottom to top, man, that is right at the 886. That's like right there at 35, which was the lowest price I give it. Maybe it does go to $35. Maybe you do. Honestly, maybe you do go to $35. I do like the way that this fib pre-anchor is looking, but this is kind of like foo-foo nonsense, rubbing a crystal ball. I wouldn't say that this is a conventional way of doing TA, though I have seen it enough times to know that doing stuff like this is honestly a fair way of kind of guessing a bottom. That's all I'm doing anyways. I'm just guessing, so I'm just using another tool to guess. And a low that low would make the next high, the minimum, above 1,000. And potentially up to almost $3,000. It could go even higher than that. And from that low, let's say you didn't catch the low. Let's say you caught around it. The low, if the low was at 35, maybe you catch it at 50. Maybe you catch it at 50. You don't catch anywhere near the low. It's a solid bit above it, almost like over 50% higher. But from there, from $50, or I guess $48.9 to the 1272, that's a 21x. That's nice, Technically, it's a 22x. Hear me out, right? If you gain 100%, that's a 2x, okay? So at 100, you're already at 2. So at 2100, technically, it sounds like a 21x. Technically, that would be a 22x, if that makes sense. If you know math, if you can follow with what I'm saying, that's a 100% move is a 2x. A 200% move is a 3x, because you 3x your money, right? A 200% move from where you start. You start at 0%. When you go up 100%, that's a 2x, because you doubled your money. So a 2100% move would be technically a 22x. At a minimum, if you bought well above the high, if you actually, or above the low, if you bought at the actual low, you could hit a 30x or a 31x technically. Or, with the potential to even go higher than that. Maybe you see a 70, 80x. Maybe it even goes higher. Maybe it has 100x in it. But prices like that, from here, I wonder, let's see, from the current price to there, what would a 10x be? A 10x would be 1,000%, right? So this would be about a $250 million or billion dollar market, $270 billion market cap. It could definitely do this. It could definitely reach prices above $500 billion. It could. So this, anywhere from the 1272 to the 1618, I doubt it goes up to the 1886, but technically, from what we've seen in crypto, any of these are possible. They definitely are. I would look first at prices around anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. It's a very big range, but we are over a year and a half away from seeing that. So just keep that in mind. That's all I got from Monero, man. I'm sorry if it just sounded like me being bearish and bashing it the whole time. I'm just calling it as I see it, man. I really don't like the chart. I like it long term. I like the asset itself. I like what it's about. I like what it represents. I think it's proven itself in the crypto world, which is not an easy thing to do. It has lasted this test of time. I don't think it's ever been hacked, to my knowledge. The one fault that I've heard rumors that it is not a privacy, like it's a privacy coin, but there's ways to track it. I don't know if that's true. To me, that's only rumors and FUD. I don't actually know. I don't have any knowledge to back that up, but I have heard that from people who spread FUD, but also spread information too. So I don't know too much about that, but from what I do know about Monero, it's an OG coin. It's lasted. It has proven itself, and that matters in crypto, man. That really does matter. So I don't think that this is the all-time high. I do think it sees dramatic price increase over time, but not before going lower. I think at the moment we are going lower. Until proven otherwise. It's for me to be proved wrong on this, or to accept that I'm wrong on this, I think we would need a month to close above $176, $177, something like that. If we had a month close above this one here, I would start to believe that we might be done. This might have been the low, in fact, and we're going higher. That would make the potential high not as high, but you know, going higher from here is not a bad thing. You could still see prices above $1,000, so which is still over a 10x, but I am implied to believe that we go lower. And that's all I got. So Josh St. Clair, sorry this one took so much time, man, to get out there, but I really I wanted to go in depth on this and really give it a solid look. I do want to go, I want to look at the daily. I don't know if I actually looked at the RSI. Yeah, I did look at the RSI. Okay, let's look at the 4-hour real quick. Real quick. Again, man, rejecting this, you're rejecting the 50 on the daily too. It's not a good look. 4-hour RSI. No bearish divergence. You are above the 50 and you're above the purple line. That's, you know, that's a fine look in my opinion. Volume is declining as you're moving up, but you haven't really had any like spectacular, this was your spectacular move, but you could just keep going up from here. You know, it's the structure that it's in, it hasn't broken out on the short-term time frame. Oops, I'll just zoom in here. You are maintaining this upward structure, and you've got this slope here, and before, you know, you had a slope that was like this. You've actually increased your slope, so that's actually bullish. And this is on a shorter term time frame. You know, shorter term time frames do begin their trends before longer term time frames do, but long term time frames have more significance, and the long term time frames at the moment are telling me bearish things. So maybe it does continue a little bit higher, maybe just a little bit, but ultimately I am bearish on this thing. If you like the video, you want to see more like it, leave a like, subscribe. I really appreciate all the likes, all the views, all the comments, and all the love. You guys are great, man. I'm close to my first 100 subscribers, and that is really exciting, man. That's big shit for the channel. So thank you guys for all the support, very much appreciated. And I'm gonna make a Bitcoin video after this, so you know that's coming soon, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, take care. Thank you very much. Bye bye.